Hi
guys.
everybody. Welcome
to Adopted Gals Podcast. Okay, wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Go back. Okay.
Everyone, welcome to Adopted Gals Podcast. My name is Famata Warfield.
And I'm Howard Zabel. And welcome to our channel.
Yes, welcome. And we decided to, we're going to start off by talking about why we decided to start Adopted Gals Podcast. And I feel like the name, kind of tells you what it's going to be about anyways. But the reason I wanted to start this podcast is because we're two adopted women from Sierra Leone, West Africa, and we were adopted by a white family. Mm-hmm. And we just felt like, it was time to tell our story, to not only help us in our healing journey of the things that we have experienced as, being adopted from Sierra Leone and then being with, white people. I'm sorry, I want to say white people, but like
white people.
Yeah, transracial adoptions, stuff like that. We wanted to create this space for other adoptees as well, and for y'all to come on here and feel comfortable and feel like you're being heard and understood. Because growing up and being where we are now, you don't really see a lot of books or podcasts or anything that talks about adoptees, and there's not a lot of that. So we're like, okay, well, might as well just start this and create a safe space for y'all to come to be a part of. So I'm gonna kick it off to Hawa. Hawa is gonna go ahead and introduce herself and add whatever else she wants to add.
Yeah, I was just gonna add on that, it's really, really great that we finally decided to start this because I know this is very dear, the topic, being an adoptee, especially a transracial adoptee, is very dear to our hearts. So this is kind of us stepping into the footing of our purpose. Yep. And it's, like I said, it's very dear to our heart and it's our life calling, at least for myself where I'm at right now. I know it's a very healing process for Fatmata, and then it's also a very healing process for me as well. And my way of wanting to give back, because I know that when I was younger, a younger version of me would have loved to have a platform like the one we're creating where, two Black, beautiful, confident women who are still figuring out life are coming together and sharing their stories. And then in the future, you'll be able to hear other people's stories as well. We'll make it a community effort and a space for people's voices and stories to be told. So thank you everyone for coming. So a little bit about myself. Like Emily mentioned, I believe earlier, we're both from Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone, which is in West Africa, it's a very, very, very tiny, small country in West Africa, and it's a very beautiful country. It's not very well known necessarily, but just for reference, it's about 4 countries west of Nigeria. So I lived in Sierra Leone until I was about 8. For majority of that time, I was actually in an orphanage. So I went to an orphanage when I was 5 years old, and I stayed in the orphanage for a very, very long time. In fact, I stayed there for longer than most kids did. I stayed there for about 3 years. Now, the thing is I wasn't supposed to stay there for that long. I was supposed to stay there for a couple of months, few months, and then get adopted. But due to political reasonings and reasons we'll get into later, don't have time to get into right now.
We'll get to the juicy parts as we go on.
So I ended up staying there for longer, and fortunately I did end up getting adopted when I was 8, and I moved to California, to sunny California, which I say sunny because she ended up moving to the cold winter Minnesota, but so it was beautiful, and I was fortunate to move to California because even though the culture is so different than where I was born and raised in Sierra Leone, it was still a unique opportunity to be in a space where there's a lot of diversity, different types of people, culture, food. There's even a lot of African people in California. So I didn't feel, even though I felt lost at some points in my life, coming into American culture, there was still something for me to always connect to in reference to diversity. So So yeah, that's pretty much my background, how I came to America, and so now Emily, tell us your story, like how you got adopted, and your background, and how you got to the point that you're at right now.
Okay, well, thanks for telling your side. Even I already know, but it's still always it's nice to always hear your side again, and just it makes us feel more connected and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for me, we have a very similar story. I was given up at 8 when I was 8 years old, and my parents just felt like the best option for me was to be put in an orphanage where I could be adopted by a family that could take care of me. So it was a big sacrifice that they had to do, and I wouldn't consider us as to be, like I said before, orphans and stuff like that. But you said what last time? You said the legal sense.
I said, well, legally, I mean, in Africa, in African culture, like if your father is like
what?
If your father is like has passed away and it's only your mom, technically, legally, you are considered to be an orphan.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, so legally you are considered to be an orphan. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that was what was the deciding factor in whether or not I was an orphan and whether or not the orphanage would accept me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got put in when I was about 8 years old, and I was there for a very short period of time, which was very lucky because some kids stayed until they're no longer adoptable, like 15, right?
Yeah.
At 15 years old. And it's so sad, they just like freaking kicked you out and be like, well, go figure it out for the rest of your life. And it's like, you've taken care of these kids since you were like, let some of them go in there since like babies.
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So I was lucky in that sense, and I got adopted December 11th, 2004. And actually my anniversary is about to come up. And both of us, we've been here for about, between 18 and 19 years. Mm-hmm. And it's been a long time. I was adopted by a white family, and we moved to Minnesota. And let me tell you, like, she got lucky where she moved to California where it was warm.
I did.
And coming from a hot climate like Sierra Leone to Minnesota in the middle of the winter, cold, and snow, which I had no idea. None of us, we didn't know what cold or snow was.
That's true.
I remember my parents when they were, they would come to visit me, and before we left Sierra Leone, they would try to explain to me the temperature and the climate. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they tried to kind of prepare me for it, but I didn't understand. And then I came, and it got to the point where I would go outside and I would get so cold and I couldn't be out for long periods of time because my skin would hurt. It would like burn a little bit. Yeah. It would burn.
What's that thing where like your limbs burn off?
Yeah, like frostbite.
Frostbite. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But I don't think maybe my skin, because my skin wasn't so used to it, the frostbite just was rapid.
Yeah.
So I had to go inside a lot, but it was so foreign to me, and I would just walk outside and just just look around and feel it. I'm like, what is this? But yeah, anyways, it was just it was very interesting. But yeah, my parents made that decision to give me up, and and I've experienced different things than how it has, even though our story still is very similar. So that's just a gist of our background, and we're gonna dive more into deeper topics and the things that we have experienced as transracial adoptees and the things that we went through. And we welcome you all, adoptees, or anybody who's watching, or parents who have adopted children that don't look like them. This is a safe space to listen and to understand, to heal, and it's a journey that we're going to go on, and we want y'all to come on this journey with us.
Yeah. And I think I don't know if I already mentioned as well, the reason why my family decided to give me up was basically the same thing. During the time we were in Sierra Leone, we were born, there was a war that was happening, and so both of us lost a lot of siblings. For me, I ended up becoming an only child because my 4 other siblings passed away during the wartime. So both of our parents ultimately made the decision that it was the best for us to go to an orphanage. otherwise they might risk us like passing away for,
Yeah.
either due to poverty or due to the war. So
Yeah.
so we're very grateful that we've gotten to this point, because we're here, we're sitting here. We're not only like thriving as individuals, but we've healed to the point that we're now able to like give back to our community and tell our story.
Yeah. And to help other adoptees.
Yeah, and to help other adoptees. I think for me personally, part of my why and the reason for doing this is for other young, for young teenagers and young adults who are adopted, especially transracially adopted, that feel really alone, that feel like their voice doesn't really matter, it's not heard, they feel misunderstood.
Yeah.
They might feel ugly inside.
Yeah.
I know I've been through that point when I was younger. So that's pretty much my reason and my purpose behind this, is to kind of be like the buddy, the friend that is there with you along with the process, helping you by giving you tips and navigating through being adopted as a young, maybe interracial adoptee. Even if you're not interracial adoption or transracial adoption, I'm sorry, you would still get some, maybe hopefully you'll be able to get some.
Yeah, here's something new, something that you never really heard of, because there's so many different things out there nowadays, and I feel like what we have to say in our podcast is different in that way.
Yeah, it is definitely very much so different. And like Emily said, this is just a safe space. It's gonna be lighthearted.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. We're really close friends, so we have like a great, we have like a great friendship, sisterhood. And so you'll see us like laugh and while we're talking about deep topics sometimes. Like we're just trying to keep it fun, welcoming, but also be able to like create a safe space where we can talk about deeper topics. And
it might come some, we might cry a little, because it's good. There's going to be some very deep emotional stuff, and I feel like we do have to hit those deep topics.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
There's a lot of things, a lot of deep things that, disturbing things that can happen with transracial adoption and stuff like that. And I feel like we have to talk about it. It has to be talked about, and I want other adoptees to see it and be like, oh my gosh, somebody who understands me without even like me saying anything. And that's how, that's part of the reason why Howard and I are so close, and we just understand each other. You and I, like, you could be going through something and you don't have to explain much, because I just know.
Yeah.
And I can just give you the advice, or just, when you need me to be there for you, I could be that, the strength for you for that moment, and to help you out, and just to listen and hear you out.
And honestly, I've always appreciated that bond that me and Emily have had. Like, our parents have always made it very, have gone out of the way to make sure that we stay connected with each other. And we continue to have this relationship even through adulthood. And we've seen each other go through some really challenging parts in our lives that are pertaining to our relationship with our adoptive family that only we could understand. And so we were able to call each other up, and the other person was like, here, I'm here for you, I'm a listening ear, and when you're ready for advice, I can give you that. And so that's kind of what we want to do for people eventually, is like, we're going to have people here that we're going to be interviewing, and getting different people's stories and perspectives also shown on this channel, so that you can know that like you're not alone, and there's always solutions to the problems that you're currently facing, even though it might feel really dark and lonely, and you might feel really ugly and just like alienated. Like, you're not alone in this. And I'm just grateful that Emily's always been there to kind of represent that feeling of like belonging, I guess. You know,
we were lucky to have that relationship, and being able to have what we have, and understanding each other, and basically what you said. So welcome. No, truly, really welcome to the space that we want to make as safe as possible. And I don't know if I've said this before, this is our first time, so just be patient with us. It's a podcast for healing and just journey and growth, and we want people to be able to listen, even like people who have adopted kids. Maybe this might be a channel where you can come and you can listen to understand the child that you've adopted better, because that's the only way to really learn and in trying to raise the kid that you've adopted. So welcome to the Adopted Girls Podcast. This is
Welcome,
going to be a nice and fun journey.
Yes, welcome. And we're going to have our contact information below in the description. And if you guys ever want to reach out to us for any reason, whether it's to say hello or if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We have plenty of time on our hands right now.
We do, especially me.
Yeah, especially her. So we'll always be here to answer any questions you have, or if you just need someone to get on the phone and talk to, like a helpline, if you will. Yeah. We're always going to be here. So make sure that you do take that opportunity that we put forth with you guys. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. See you on our next episode. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We'll have all of our information on in the links, and welcome.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you do know someone who is also adopted, especially if they're transracially adopted, no, you're good. Especially if they're transracially adopted, make sure that you get them, get them on our channel so that they can be in touch, and also maybe they'll be able to get something out of our channel just like you would. So like they say, sharing is caring, and we love that over here.
Yes.
All
See
right,
you next time.
Bye.